why is it people have the same problem over and over again? You might have had the same problem and it just keeps coming up. And it's like, how do I solve this? Why am I experiencing this over and over again? It might be with relationship, it might be with work, with friends, with money, whatever it is. Why does that occur? So in this video, I'm going to go into the why of why people experience the same problem over and over again and how they can actually go beyond that as well. What is up? I'm Dean Bentley and I help people build their visions, creating the life of their dreams and seeing what is possible within this world. Today, I'm going to drop into the question of why do people experience the same problem over and over, and how can we actually solve that? So I've done up this beautiful chart. I know the lighting isn't good, but we're going to work with that today. I'm just going to create because this is very alive and I want to share this because this has been something that has changed my life over and over again. And I see this for so many people that they almost get comfortable in their problems. I know I've been at family gatherings, I've been around old friends, and it may have been years, it may have been 6 months since I've seen them, and they're talking about the same issue. And for me, there's a little bit of a trigger there where it's like, are you ready to learn? Are you ready to go beyond that? But this is the way of life for some people. I know in my own experience too, there's been moments in my life where I felt like I couldn't go beyond what I was currently doing, where I felt stuck and I was like, how can I solve this problem? I feel like I'm doing everything and I don't know how to go beyond that. And this is the funny thing about humans. We often get stuck and then we can break through when we go out on the other side. So now I want to create some framework and some structure of what happens in them moments. So this is why I've done up this sexy chart here. What we have is the coward, the comfort, the courage, and the chaos zone. Now this was shown to me by a mentor, Jacob O'Neill, a dear brother of mine, and he walked me through this multiple times. And what it really showed me was in which ways and different areas of my life was I in each of these zones, and what would it look like if I was to drop into each of these zones? And what I want to say about this is people love to be comfortable. That is what we're designed for. We seek comfort, we seek homeostasis where we can rest, we can regulate, we can be like in the normal. We like structure, we like knowing what we need to do every day. So a lot of people, what they do is seek this middle zone here, the comfort zone. And this isn't bad in itself. We actually want a level of comfort in our life to regulate our nervous systems, to stay in a regulated state, and to also have balance, to have structure, to wake up and know what we're doing. So we're not living up here in the chaos zone where maybe we wake up and I don't know where I'm getting my food from. I don't know where, that the money is coming from to pay for my place. Like, we don't want to be living in that state, because what it does is it dysregulates our nervous system and it sends us into a fight or flight response. So this is a great tool if you want to look at your nervous system and how to regulate it as well. It can be like if we spend too much time in the chaos or the coward or even the courage, the nervous system will become very dysregulated, and this won't serve us because in a dysregulated state, we're not open, we're not expansive, so our level of consciousness isn't there, so we don't have the perception to perceive different opportunities and things that may be possible for us. So what we ideally want to do is have this ideal level of expansion. So what this is going into the comfort zone. So this might be having time where you're resting at home and knowing where you're coming home to, and like where you feel comfortable. This is the idea. You want to feel comfortable. Your nervous system wants to feel safe and open and relaxed, and you want to be able to be in this state. And what we want to do is then from that place move into this courage zone. Now the courage zone is where we go out into the unknown. It's like going beyond what we normally do. It's in the gym, lifting a heavier weight. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try and do it. It's the moment where we say yes to a new opportunity that's like just beyond our experience. And now the courage zone, dependent on your nervous system capacity, can be quite large. Some people, their courage zone will go into other people's chaos zone. So for me here creating this video at the moment, this is like just in my courage zone. It feels quite comfortable, quite normal, and then there's still like the other stories that come up where it's like, ooh, what is this? Like, is this okay? And all of that. But for some people, this may be in the chaos zone. Like they may come in here, I do this unscripted. So they might come in here and be like, I don't have a script. I've just got a chart. How could I create something that would be of value? That could be someone else's chaos zone. And this depends on past experience, what their nervous system is capable of handling. And so these zones are all dependent upon the person. There's no set structure that says this is courage, this is chaos. It all depends on the person. So ideally, people will live in a balance of comfort and courage. This is where we go out, we expand ourselves, we open to what is possible, and we allow that expansion to take us back into a place where we can rest and recover and begin to like rebuild our capacity and go out again and go out further into the courage. And this is where sustainable growth occurs. This is ideal expansion. Like, this is what can happen in situations where people go beyond their capacity. Like, I know for me, when I first used plant medicine, what occurred was I went and did a massive retreat, and it was like 3 nights. It was 3 different medicines I've never touched before, and it was a lot on my nervous system. I kind of went into the chaos zone, and what happened on the other side is I slingshotted back down to the coward zone. I contracted because I was like, that was a lot, and I needed the time to recuperate, and that experience was what it needed to be. It was really powerful in the long run, but if I had the awareness to go into the courage zone, which might have been a night and then an integration and then maybe another night then and then an integration and a couple days integration and then more, like I can see how that would have supported me and my growth. And this is the thing, like we can dive in, and sometimes up in the chaos, some people like to live. This is a person who goes through the big death and then the rebirth and then the death and the rebirth. They haven't learned how to play in this zone here of the comfort and the courage. They're seeking the pendulum swing, which goes to chaos to coward, and they're not really feeling that regulated state. And this is a tangent, but it's all relevant to where we're going with this, because in that, if you're pendulum, you've got to have the same experiences, you've got to have the same problems, because you're operating in 2 extremes, and not much can be built in the extreme. Sometimes we do want to enter the chaos for certain experiences. I know at times when I'm moving past a big layer, maybe I'm seeking that egoic death to break me down so I can rebuild, but that's done intentionally. And if we're not aware, we can continue to swing. And this was a big part early on in my journey. I would swing between these 2. But what I actually needed was to find a comfort zone and then to learn how to go out into the courage zone. And this can be a trauma response because especially if you grew up in an unsafe environment where your nervous system didn't feel safe to just be, you're probably going to go seek experiences where your nervous system is activated, and it's activated again and again, which can create that pendulum swing and effect of needing more and wanting more. And really we want to come back down and allow ourselves to actually feel safe and find that comfort zone. So there's 2 reasons why people are experiencing the same problem over and over again, and it's really the same problem. So firstly, we had that pendulum swing I talked about, which is going from the coward to the chaos and back. And this just keeps happening like a pendulum swing. And in that, there's a level where that is someone's comfort zone. It's someone's comfort zone because that is all they've ever known. their nervous system has been regulated to know that this is where they're comfortable. They've been in a high stress environment, so their nervous system is used to being very active. So they're seeking the extreme stimulation to keep themselves in what they believe is a comfortable situation, because for them, if they actually allowed their nervous system to come down, this could create a level of safety that would actually be uncomfortable because it is in the unknown. And as people, the unknown is generally scary. I've done videos on this where we actually want to know what we're experiencing. We want to be in the known. And if you're someone if you go out and don't know anything, it can be chaos. And so when we're going for a new experience, which could be finding a regulated nervous system, it can feel very uncomfortable at the start, because it's like, what am I doing here? I feel safe. I haven't had this experience. Like, if it's not, it can be like, I don't have to worry what's happening. I can just be with myself. It can be scary. And especially for people who are more empathic and very open, they can be taken on a lot. And when all that noise dies away and it's just one with oneself and it's regulated, it can be a big experience. So that in itself, that pendulum swing, is a level of comfort zone. And what the other thing that can keep people having the same problems again and again is actually living in the comfort zone itself. So this is living where they feel comfortable. They just stay here. They do this thing over and over again, and they stay in this comfort zone. Now, when someone is in the comfort zone, if they stay there for too long and they're not seeking this expansion into the courage zone, they begin to atrophy. It is decay. It is just like, this is comfortable. This is it. This is what happens when someone works a 9 to 5 that isn't exciting them anymore. They begin to feel apathetic, because it's like there's no excitement, there's no drive, there's no desire for more anymore. So they begin to decay and move into the coward zone. So what was the comfort zone actually becomes the coward zone. And what occurs in this is when people are staying in the comfort zone, whether it is the big chaotic swing, or if it's in the comfort zone where they're just sitting at home all day, every day, doing nothing that stresses their body, creates good dopamine, that pushes them beyond their natural limits, if they never do that, they continuously experience the same problems, because the problems we currently have are because of the current level we're playing at. And if we stay at the same level, we're always going to experience the same problems. So a lot of people, they're like, why is nothing changing? But they're not doing anything different. And this just repeats the same behavior again and again, because they're staying within this same level. And if you're in the same level, you're going to have the same problems. It doesn't allow expansion. It doesn't allow a new opportunity to come in. And this is where a person with particular problems, if it's like, my money situation isn't changing, my relationship isn't changing, and I want something new and I'm having these same problems, what is the courage zone? Because this is the thing that will solve it. You don't want to go up here and go into the chaos zone. Like, I've seen people do this in like entering polyamorous relationships or opening their relationship, and they're like, now we're in an open relationship, which was a monogamous relationship before, and they open it up and they're like, we can sleep with people now. This is a tangent, but what happens is like, it's chaos because there's no build up. There's no like, you can go on a date first, then you can kiss someone. There's no build. It's just suddenly, let's do everything. And what this does is creates a very dysregulated nervous system. And that isn't what we want. We want to find that courage zone. We want to find where we can just take a step further, because this is what is important. If we can just take that little step into the courage zone and learn how to be in that unknown again and again, it is going to support us. So if any situation is repeating itself, it means what you were doing has become a level of a comfort zone. It's like there's no push for something more. There's no opportunity that is going beyond your current comfort zone, because there is a level of comfort in the problems that you have already. So a lot of people actually find comfort in their problems because they are known. So in this courage zone, if you go into that, the problems become unknown. So it's like, if I make more money, I don't know what I'll do with that extra money. Like, that could be a belief that occurs for someone who's like, I want to make more money, but they feel very comfortable where they're at, and they like have this desire, but then the fear of what would I do with more money? What does that mean? How do I operate with it? Like, taxes do I pay? All these things, they live in here because they're unknown problems, and the person may not have the capacity to know what to do with that. So this is the thing. If you're desiring to level up or change your problems, it's actually going to create a whole bunch of new problems. So, like for myself, when I started on this path of coaching and developing as a coach, like before that, I worked a 9-to-5 job, and I've done that multiple times, and the problems were very different then. It was like, oh, how can I grow a coaching business? How can I build it to get the money that I want so I can support myself? And it was also like, how do I coach? What do I do there? Like, they were some of the problems, but like that's what I had to move into. But when I had the 9-to-5 job, it was very much, oh, I go to work, I get paid, there's a level of comfort, there's a level of security. I don't have to worry if income is coming in, and there's a safety to that. So that safety can't, if I didn't say I'm going to go into the courage zone, which was creating a business, I would have stayed within that, and it would have just kept me where I was. And so going into the courage zones mean going outside of what we know. And this is where the problems will change. In that transition, I had to then begin to consider, okay, where is my money coming from? How am I creating clients? How am I creating value? What am I doing throughout my day? Like, I had to learn how to structure my day. It sounds like a silly problem, but that was something I had to go through because I never worked for myself before. I never knew what it meant to work for myself and just be working for myself. So I had to create my own structure. This was a new problem. I hadn't experienced it before, because before that, people were telling me what to do. So this involved a new level of ownership and taking charge. And this is the thing. If you're wanting something new, it's going to involve the unknown. And so you have to be willing to step into the fear of what that might bring. And this is what will change everything. Instead of staying safe and staying in this level of comfort, there's nothing wrong with this. Like, don't get me wrong. We want to have this comfort zone, but we must be willing to cross this threshold into the courage zone. And like, I just want to note that this threshold between the comfort and courage, that's the hero's journey. Like, I'll probably do another video on that. Comment below if you want that, or send me a message, because I do feel it's something important. But what occurs in that moment on a psychic level is we go to step into something new. So what occurs is a lot of bubbling occurs, and the deeper recesses of our psyche begin to emerge. So our wounds, our traumas, our beliefs, our conditions, they begin to emerge that say, hey, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you should just play it safe. It's scary to not know. All of these things begin to bubble up because these are the conditions that have kept you in the comfort zone, and this is what is occurring as you move into it. All the conditions that kept you in that are emerging, so you can see them, heal them, go beyond them, and allows a new person to emerge in this, which means new beliefs, new identities. I just did a video on self-image in the Conscious Creators Facebook community, which is all about that image of self, which talks about who we are and the beliefs we have and why we are who we are. And that's a big piece. Like, in the courage zone, we break down some of the walls about who we are. So this transforms us into someone else. And this is ultimately what we want to create new problems, because the same problems are the result of being the same person. And the only way to change the problems is to change the person that you are. So if you're noticing that you're having the same problems and you want to create change, ask yourself, what would live in this courage zone in that realm? So if it's relationship, what is the courage zone for your relationship? If it's business, what is your courage zone for your business? If it's financial, money, what is the courageous step? Is it to ask for a raise? Is it to charge more for your services? Is it to put an offer out there? What is the next courageous step? And step into that and notice how your nervous system feels, because as you do that, it will stimulate your nervous system. And what you want to do is regulate that on the other side. So you learn how to be in the courage zone. You actually adapt to that so it becomes okay to be there and you can enter it more. So ask yourself, what is the courage zone? Where are you persistent in the comfort zone? And that could be the coward and chaos cycle. Check in what comfort zones you're staying in and not allowing yourself to change, because this is keeping you stuck and keeping you with the same problems. And to go beyond that, it's going to require change in your identity and require change in who you are. So go do that, have a look, have fun, see what your courageous step is. If you like this video, like, comment, share, let me know what you think. Drop down below what was your biggest takeaway. If you want more, let me know what you're desiring. I'm going to plan a lot more of these videos and share them with friends and share them on any platform. So much love. Take care.